Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video, I just want to talk about a topic that one of my coaching clients kind of made me think of today, and I just wanted to bring it up in this video. But really what I want to talk about is knowing rather than hoping for your desired outcome, for your manifestation. And I kind of want to base this off of a personal story, which I mentioned a bit in my one video about things that I've manifested, but I just want to go a little more in depth on this and why just knowing that your desire is yours, knowing that your manifestation is yours no matter what, is so helpful and so important, and kind of again how I apply this in my own life without even really knowing it at the time. Speaking of knowing. So this is something I did when I was younger, but I always, from the age of about 15, I just knew that I wanted to run my own business. Don't ask why. I was always very business oriented. Even from a young age, I had lemonade stands and I had jewelry stores. I called them. I made my own jewelry and tried to sell them. Just little beaded things. And then I also had my Archie comic books. I tried to sell them on a website one time when I found out you could sell stuff online, with eBay or something. I tried to sell some of my old stuff and my mom got so mad at me. But long story short, I was just always interested in making my own money and running my own business. Just from a young age, I was just man, I know one day I'm going to do that. That's what I would always kind of say to myself in my head. I always had this goal of that. And so I started a blog when I was younger and I worked on it all the time. I didn't really know if anything would come of it, but I just, again, had this kind of knowing in the back of my head, one day I'm going to run my own business. I just knew that. And I kept working on it, doing my thing. And over the years, it grew bigger and bigger. I was able to monetize it. I ended up going to school partway through doing that, and I got a job. And even during all the time, I kept working on the blog outside of school, outside of work, or even at work sometimes. I would be working on it because, again, I was just so set on one day I'm gonna run my own business. And I would always kind of talk about this. I would tell my parents that, and I was just so adamant about it. And my parents were very doubtful. They were very set on me getting a stable job because I was only working part-time throughout school. And then when school was over, I continued to work part-time, but I still worked on my blog as well. I still hadn't went full-time with it. But again, I had this knowing. I was I'm gonna do it one day. And that is where I told you guys, I also wrote down the specific day I was gonna quit my part-time job to go full-time with it. And throughout this whole process, I went through years of ups and downs, of things that went the opposite. I had one time with my blog where I completely stopped working on it for months on end because I was so upset, because it was around COVID. Advertisers stopped paying so much anymore. People were scared to advertise because there was so much going on at the time. It was affecting my blog, it was affecting my income. Pinterest changed completely. I had to figure out a new source of traffic, and there was just a really big downtime where I was oh my God, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I don't even know if this is viable anymore. But throughout that whole time, even after all that happened and I was really negative about it, I still went back to my knowing of just okay, one day I'm gonna figure this out and I'm still gonna run my own business. And this is back when I didn't really know that much about manifestation. I kind of had heard of it, but I wasn't really trying to do anything. I just knew. I just kept having this knowing of this is what I'm meant to do. I was so sure of it. So even after months of being negative, of reacting, of being sad, I picked myself back up and I carried on with it. And eventually, as you guys know from my last video, if you watched it, I did end up quitting my part-time job and running my business full-time. So what I'm trying to get from this story, at least share with you guys, is that you don't have to have a perfect sort of journey to get from A to B. And you don't have to worry about everything along the way as well. Like, so the last message that I sent to someone for coaching, we were talking about how she was revising a lot of things, and I'm not a huge person with revision. I know I've had a lot of comments about that lately. It can be helpful to some people, but what I want to get across in this video is that you don't have to be perfect with everything, and your life does not have to be perfect to get what you are manifesting. You don't have to have every day look the same, have every day be consistent. And even if you do react to your reality, which I say, like, obviously we try not to react to things, we try not to let our 3D circumstances affect our belief, but if you do react, it's not going to be the end of the world, because everything happens right now. Everything happens in this moment. So the universe does not care what happened 5 minutes ago. It doesn't care what happened yesterday. It only cares about what you think right now, what you believe right now in this moment. So if you have a knowing right now that you are on the right path, then you're good. Like, that's all you need to do. It does not matter how many times you reacted in the past, or how many times you stressed yourself out, or you did this or you did that. As long as you just keep going and you keep knowing that you're going to get there, then you will. And that was like me in the past, because I used to think to manifest something, you had to be so strict, so on point all the time, 24/7. But really, it's just about what you do majority of the time, what your belief is majority of the time. So if you can be okay with the uncertainty happening around you, if you can be okay with things just happening and unfolding as they do, and you just accept that all of it is part of the journey of getting there, then it's going to be so much easier than if you're constantly feeling like, well, this shouldn't be happening right now. I'm going to revise this and try and figure this out. Okay, now this is happening. This is another negative situation, so I must be doing something wrong again, so I'm going to try and fix this. If you react to every little situation that comes up, you're just setting yourself further back, rather than if you were just to accept that all of it is meant to happen and all of it is leading you to where you want to go. Because in those moments when, my blog went complete opposite and months on end I didn't post anything, and I just decided that, I was a failure at that time and everything sucked. If I just gave up after that time, if I just kept feeling that way forever, then I would have never ended up where I was. I would have never went full time with my blog. But because I still had this kind of knowing in the back of my mind, and I still carried on even after all of that happened, I ended up with my desired outcome, even though I reacted for months on end, even though I reacted terribly at times, and I cried, I was emotional. I know I talk a lot about not reacting to your outer world, which is very true, right? Like, because you want to trust what's going on around you, but it doesn't mean that you can't feel things. It doesn't mean that you can't go off track sometimes or fail sometimes, or at least think that you're failing. Because if you just accept that all of it is part of the process, then you really aren't messing up in any way. Right? Like, if you react, but you know that you're reacting is okay, then you'll be fine, right? It's only when you react and then you're like, oh my gosh, I shouldn't have done that, and you freak out every time you react and think you did something wrong. That's when it gets bad. That's when it's like a spiral. And I always compare that to people that, have a cheat meal on their diet or something, and then they freak out because they had one cheat meal, and then now they just go binge eat everything for a week straight, rather than just having that cheat meal and not getting upset about it, not blaming themselves for it, and just going back to their diet. If you think about it that way, like, which one is more productive, right? Like, it's way more productive to just accept what happened and just move forward rather than dwell in it, right? You don't want to dwell on the negative state or being in a negative mindset or having something go wrong in your reality that you think is wrong. You don't want to dwell on that. You just want to accept it. It's happening right now. Accept what's happening currently in your world as part of the process and just move forward. Just keep trusting, keep knowing that what you want is yours and you're on the path to get it. Anyways, I hope that this little story time is helpful to you guys, but this is kind of how I look at my manifestations now. So if I'm ever stressing out or feeling the need to suddenly like affirm a lot or something, I always just think about it like, okay, do I know that I'm on the right path? Do I trust that this is where I'm headed? Like, do I accept that everything happening is leading me there? Yes. All right, we're good then. Like, that's all we have to do. It does not have to be so complicated. You don't have to fix every little thing. Like, that's my number one tip, is don't try to fix every little situation that's going wrong or happening in your reality. That's not your job. That's not what you have to do. You just have to know where you're going. That's pretty much it. Know where you're going and trust that. Okay? Thank you guys so much for watching. Comment, like, and subscribe. If you are interested in coaching, that's in the description box below. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.